Let's go. Okay. Yesterday we were still learning about Kiddush Levana. To finish up with Kiddush Levana and get back to certain things we didn't mention about Rosh Chodesh. Now we explained the reason of Kiddush Levana, why women don't do Kiddush Levana. Now, what happens, normally the order is you daven Ma'ariv, and then you do Kiddush Levana. Why do you do Ma'ariv before Kiddush Levana? So there's a few reasons. Number one, Shema is biblical. Kiddush Levana is basically rabbinic or a custom, whatever, but davening Ma'ariv is biblical. Secondly, there's a rule, more common and less common. You do the more common first. Ma'ariv you do every night, Kiddush Levana once a month. So therefore you daven Ma'ariv before Kiddush Levana. What happens though, if it's getting very cloudy, it's already night. And if you daven Ma'ariv, you're going to miss the Levana. And it's already later on in the month. So then the halacha is you can do Kiddush Levana first, and then daven Ma'ariv, that you shouldn't miss the opportunity. Ma'ariv you could daven later, and now Kiddush Levana you might lose the opportunity completely.
It's not later in the month?
Huh?
It's not later in the month?
Again, if it's a cloudy season, then you don't, then you do it. If it's not a cloudy season, you can get it, you have another 5 days to do it, so hopefully you'll have a Kiddush Levana in the proper time. Now, Kiddush Levana, it says in halacha, it's a skula, it's good luck to be saved from death. You shouldn't have toothaches. And, you can ask for a skula that you want. Kiddush Levana is a very appropriate time. In fact, we mentioned that there's a minhag that when you say, so all my enemies can't touch me. The custom is you touch your teeth, and that's supposed to help you from toothaches. Right? Correct English. Another interesting custom is when you finish Kiddush Levana, you take the corners of your talis cotton and you shake it. Now, what is the purpose of shaking the corners of the talis cotton after you do Kiddush Levana? There are certain reasons brought down in halacha that the Rebbe doesn't seem to like too much, and that is that normally night is not the time for tzitzis. When Mashiach comes, which Kiddush Levana deals with Mashiach, like we say, the moon is going to shine like the sun, like it was at the beginning. That's why you say David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam. Kiddush Levana has to do with Mashiach. So when Mashiach comes, it says Laila Kayem Yor. It's going to be all of night. So then we're going to be Makayim the mitzvah tzitzis at night. If we're going to do the mitzvah tzitzis at night, so we want to show in Kiddush Levana that we're going to do the mitzvah tzitzis at night, even though you don't normally do the mitzvah tzitzis at night. But the Rebbe has a number of issues with that. But there's another reason why you do Kiddush Levana, why at the end of Kiddush Levana, you shake the corners of your talis cotton. By the way, the same thing applies to Birchas Hachama, which we make every 28 years, when the sun is in the same place it was at the beginning of creation. We also at the end shake the corners of the talis cotton. But there's another reason given. What? By Tashtach also. One of the reasons given is because when we take the tzitzis, we say Vavienu l'sholem me'arba kanfei sa'aretz, right? In davening before Shema, you say Hashem should gather us from the four corners of the world. That's the concept of kibbutz golius becoming a Mashiach. So again, because Kiddush Levana deals with the concept of Mashiach, so then we're putting the four tzitzis together, like gathering the tzitzis to show that we're going to be gathered again from the four corners of the world. That's another reason given why we shake the tzitzis at the time of Kiddush Levana.
You don't gather, you just shake.
Yeah, but shake them, but you're holding all four at the same time. Yeah. Okay, next, just to get back to some dinim of Rosh Chodesh, which is a very interesting thing. This year, before Tisha B'Av, there's 3 haftarahs that are called the 3 haftarahs of punishment. Those are the Navi admonishing the Jewish people. Starting from Shabbos Nachamu until Rosh Hashanah is 7 Shabbosim. And it's what's called Shiva de Nechemta, the 7 Haftarahs of Hashem comforting the Jews. Okay? Therefore, there's a whole question, if Rosh Chodesh falls on Shabbos, which Haftarah do you say? But now the question is, this Shabbos, we have a Haftarah, but it's Rosh Chodesh. So you have a few, and it's Machar Chodesh, because Sunday is also Rosh Chodesh. So you can have the Haftarah of the Parsha of Re'eh, and you have the Parsha of the Haftarah of Rosh Chodesh, and you have Machar Chodesh. So there's a bunch of different customs what you do. The Rebbe writes, our custom is, this Shabbos, we only say the Haftarah of Rosh Chodesh, plus the first and last pasuk of Machar Chodesh. What do you do with this week's Haftarah? So this week's Haftarah, you add on to Kiseitze, because the Haftarah of this Shabbos, if it wouldn't be Rosh Chodesh, and the Haftarah Kiseitze are next to each other. So on the Shabbos of Kiseitze, you add to the Haftarah of Kiseitze the Haftarah that we would be saying this Shabbos. Okay? So this Shabbos, though, you say the Haftarah Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, first and last pasuk of Machar Chodesh, and the Haftarah of the week, you say actually when Parshas Kiseitze in 2 weeks. Okay, another... okay. Now, a normal thing is like this. There's different customs, like when there's an oval, a person in the morning who likes to daven for the Yomid, like which days don't they daven for the Yomid, which days do they daven for the Yomid? There's a lot of different customs. For instance, some people have a minig that out of Shabbos, an oval never davens mincha for the Yomid. Many shul, they just don't let you daven mincha, an oval to daven mincha for the Yomid. Some people have a minig days you don't say tachnun, and an oval doesn't daven for the Yomid. Our custom is that any day that there's a musaf, okay, like Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tif, Shabbos, Chol HaMoed, any day that there's musaf, an oval does not daven for the Yomid. He says the Kadesh, but he doesn't daven for the Yomid. Even Chanukah, the custom is, because there's no musaf that day, an oval davens for the Yomid, both Ma'ariv, Shach, everything, but he doesn't say Halal. Somebody else goes over for Halal, and then the Chazan after Halal, for the Kaddish, you go back to the original Chazan. But our custom is that, like on Rosh Chodesh, an oval doesn't daven for the Yomid, not Ma'ariv, not Shachris, not Motzef, not Mincha. What happens though, if somebody's in the year of mourning, so he doesn't daven for the Yomid Rosh Chodesh, but he has yard site on Rosh Chodesh for a different parent. So then the din is he does daven for the Yomid Rosh Chodesh. The same thing, a person who's in the year of mourning, and they daven for the Yomid. Shabbos and Yom Tif, you're not supposed to daven for the Yomid. You're not supposed to. You're not really not supposed to. You're not allowed to daven for the Yomid. But what happens? The guy has yard site for a different parent during the year of Avelis, and the yard site falls out on Shabbos. So then the custom is you do daven for the Yomid.
And if it's the yard site of that parent, so
And it can't be in the year.
it's whatever. It's like one. It's been
Yeah. So then, of course, the yard site you daven for the Yomid.
And what if the chazan of the shul is the one? He's a set chazan of the shul, and he has yard site. He's an oval, but he usually davens all davening for that shul.
So then the halacha is that he davens for the Yomid, because if not, it's like, he always davens, why isn't he davening? Because of Avelis. So it's open, it's called Avelis B'Farhesia. It's public mourning, which is forbidden on Shabbos and Yom Tov. So then an Oval would daven, if he always davens. For the Yomid, then he would. But it's brought down in the halacha another interesting point. What happens if there's a guy that davens Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur for the Yomid, and he's in the year of Avelis? So the din is Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is allowed to daven for the Yomid. That's across the board. Poskim right, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, especially if there's nobody else to daven, and he always davens, he could daven for the Yomid even though he's in Avelis. But the Moshe, there's a lot of interesting things. I'm going to get into it now. For instance, a kohen in the year of mourning doesn't do birchas kohenim for the Yomid, by Yom Tif. He doesn't duchen. He doesn't go around the bima by hakafis. He doesn't go around the bima by hashainis. Unless, No. I'm saying a kohen doesn't do birchas kohenim. Number one. Secondly, a novel doesn't walk around. Unless if he's the rabbi, again, that if he doesn't do it, everybody's going to notice that he's not doing it, so then he does it. But like this, there's a lot of dinim of Avelis that still apply in Rosh Chodesh technically, but again, you don't daven for the Yomid. Now there's another interesting discussion in halacha. On Rosh Chodesh, you daven Musaf in Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin or in no tefillin. Or some people have, no, I'm sorry, that everybody says you don't have Musaf. Some people say you put on Rabbeinu Tam's after Musaf. And you daven Shachar, you take off Rashi tefillin, you daven Musaf, then you put on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin. The Rebbe writes that our minhag is all the pairs of tefillin, even if somebody puts on 4 pairs of tefillin, Rav and Shmush Rabbah also, so then they do it on Rosh Chodesh before Musaf. Now, what happens if somebody's in shul? The minyan is already, not God forbid he came late. We say nobody comes late, but it's a fadavant. He started davening with the minyan, mamish with the minyan, and he got lost in davening, and he's still wearing the tefillin, and the minyan already saying musaf. And they come to the union of kesed, tefillin, the kedusha of kesed. So the reason we don't wear tefillin by musaf is because we say Kesi Yitnu L'cha, but we do have a crown, so you don't wear tefillin by. What happens? The guy's wearing tefillin, and the minyan, he's behind the minyan, and the minyan is saying Kesi. What do? So it says, if you're a bacha, you take your hat and put it over the head tefillin, or if you're a married guy, you just put the talis completely over the tefillin, not a little bit like we do. You completely cover the whole tefillin for that one sentence of Kesi Yitnu L'cha. Because Kesi Yitnu L'cha is a unique Rosh Chodesh thing, and tefillin is a crown within itself. So you have all these interesting customs about Rosh Chodesh and the practical din. But I just want to remind everybody that Shabbos and Sunday is Rosh Chodesh. So there Friday night, at Ma'ariv there's Yalav V'Yavai, in benching there's Ritzei and Yalav V'Yavai. Shabbos morning, half Hallel, 2 Sefer Teiros, Haftarah, we said the Musaf, Musaf, but it's not even a regular Rosh Chodesh Musaf, it's the Musaf for Shabbos Rosh Chodesh.
Do we have sponsors?
What?
Do we have sponsors of Shabbos?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
You're late for tomorrow.
Huh?
You're late for tomorrow.
One second. First of all, the ice cream is private. That's nobody else. If you'll give it a little lick if you want. Okay, but another interesting thing in one second, there's an Indian, you don't mention Shabbos, it's not there. You don't mention, in Yalav V'Yavai of benching, you don't add Shabbos. It's interesting, if you look in Yom Tov Shemon Esrei, in the Yalav V'Yavai, we say B'yem HaShabbos Hazeh or B'yem Chag HaMatzos Hazeh. So we do add Shabbos in Yalav V'Yavai. But in benching and in davening, regular Rosh Chodesh, we don't say Rosh Chodesh in Shabbos in Yalav V'Yavai. And the reason for that is because we just mentioned Shabbos. You said Ritzei, or you're davening the Shabbos Shemon Esrei. So therefore, there's no purpose for Rosh Chodesh to mention Shabbos, because Rosh Chodesh is Rosh Chodesh. Yom Tif is the Shabbos, so Shabbos is Yom Tif, so then you do it that way.
Is there a min that anyone mentions that you put your chatzitza between the head tefillin by keser, like underneath, or it's only on top?
The minhag is you cover the tefillin shorosh. You cover the tefillin shorosh with the hat or a talis. That's the minhag. So the whole issue. How much of the tefillin do you cover with the talis?
In general?
So, yeah. So some, by Yisraelim, there's a minute, they cover the Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin completely. Some don't cover, some do cover. Our minhag is to cover the tefillin, but not the upper box of the tefillin, where the ritzua goes through, the mabart it's called. So we cover that part with the talis, that it should be covered, but not the actual square of the tefillin. But there's a lot of Kabbalistic things. Some people that wear Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam's together, it's interesting, at the same time. The Rashis they'll leave open and the Rabbeinu Tam's they'll cover. I've seen it here in Shul. Yeah, there's certain people that wear both pairs at the same time. Yeah, it's a Sephardic thing. Ashkenazim don't do that. Okay, Machan Shin is the Meister Me'amecha Beba Mayin Kim Shibla Agal Teira B'chanan Makash Shemed Later the Baruch Zak Selfik Chibel Hem